This is the theme for a show about food. They'll be chopping and dicing and simmering too. There'll be various ingredients mixed all together in various amounts that she doesn't quite measure. There's pots and there's pans and some knives and a sink, and once in a while an alcoholic drink. So watch when you can and you'll learn something new about spices and rices and some kind of stew. And this is the part where we tell you the name of the show.
Hi guys, I'm Jen Jacobs and welcome to Fatkid. This is a show where I want to inspire the inner fat kid in you while I let the inner fat kid in me come out to play for a little while. So I'm going to make today my version of Cracker Jacks, lovingly referred to by everyone who's had it as Jen's Crack. Not the prettiest name, but it does the job. Third episode. Wow, the memories we've made. Anyway, I'm going to show you what you need to make this dish right now. This is a big one, guys. This one has been a recipe that literally everyone I know haunts me for, and there's a good reason. You're going to thank me if you actually make this, and then you're going to kind of be mad because your family's going to eat it way too fast, and you're going to be like, I didn't get any. Anyway, what I use is, this is actually a very friendly recipe for your budget. I go to a job lot and I get these disposable steaming trays. I'm going to use that when I put my popcorn in the oven to set up. Also, at my handy dandy job lot, we have this 18-quart metal bowl. This is the easiest tool that I use for this popcorn because there's a lot of it and there's a big mixing process that has to be done, you'll see. So do yourself a favor and invest the $10 and go to a job lot and get a giant bowl. I'm using bacon in my recipe, but certainly if you are vegetarian or vegan, you can leave that out completely. I also am using peanuts in my recipe, but with the bacon and the peanuts, there are caveats. So you can use any nut, cashews, almonds, Brazil nuts, hazelnuts, whatever you like. Or you can leave them out completely. If your family isn't really big on nuts, then you just get that beautiful buttery caramel popcorn. With the bacon, you can leave out the peanuts if you have someone in your family that has a peanut allergy. I use the bacon to give that salty bite that you want to cut the sweetness and the richness of the caramel that's on the popcorn. So, but you can completely leave it out. Or if there is a good plant-based meat product that you can substitute out there, I'm not well versed on that. I will do my research. However, doesn't come naturally to me. This is just a snack and I'm finding a way to put meat in it. Anyway, then I have some fresh popcorn. You want to make sure the popcorn you have hasn't been sitting in your cabinet for 14 years because it won't pop. So get some new popcorn. I have mine in this beautiful little decorative jar that my stepdaughter Annabelle made for me because she loves this dish so much. This was a gift that she made and I love it. So I keep my popcorn in it. Then we're gonna need some oil, right? We're gonna start the bacon in a tiny bit of oil. You can either use movie theater butter popping oil. There's all kinds of popping oils out there. You can use peanut oil. You can also use canola oil or olive oil because I've done both and it pops the popcorn just the same. I want some good, pure, real vanilla. If you use imitation and you don't know the difference, more power to you. Light brown sugar. A lot of these recipes use dark brown sugar, but I really like the light. Butter. Pan spray so that our popcorn doesn't stick to our pan. Light corn syrup. I have here honey roasted peanuts, but again, you can use whatever you like. And I have a little bag here where there's soft caramels. We're gonna peel those all up and throw those into our caramel, and it just makes it a little more creamy and yummy. And then, of course, salt, because you need salt with popcorn. There's no other way. All right, so that's that. I'm going to start cutting the bacon and I'm gonna render that down and put it aside and I'll show you what we'll do with that. So I have my bacon here. Again, if you don't like bacon or you're a vegetarian or vegan, you can leave it out completely, that's fine. If you are going to use it, I recommend either applewood or cherry wood, really anything but hickory. I don't like the way hickory tastes in this recipe, so I don't use it. If you want to make it a little easier for yourself, if you don't have the greatest knife in the world, put your bacon in the freezer. Mine isn't, so I'm going to try and show you this as best I can. Put your bacon in the freezer for about 15 minutes to a half an hour and let it like sturdy itself up a little bit. And then you just take your kitchen shears and you cut your slices. And it's way easier than chopping through bacon with a dull knife. So just cut right through it. You don't use the whole stack at once, but you cut it up like that. And then when you put it in the pan, you just want to pull it apart a little bit like that. If you're going to do it with your knife, move this aside. You just very carefully with your hands down so that you can't cut your fingertips, and you just cut into little thin strips like that. So I'm going to finish doing that, and I'm going to separate it all up, and then I'm going to get it in the pan and start rendering it down for you. I have a hot preheated pan. It's a non-stick skillet, but I've rubbed it with a little oil anyway. And if you're using a non-stick pan, any non-stick pan, you have to be very careful not to cook with it on high heat, because the Teflon coating sends chemicals into the air and it's actually poisonous. So you want to just make sure if you're using a non-stick pan that you're very careful how high you put your heat. So anyway, I'm going to get the bacon started. I wanted to say, if some of your bacon is still stuck together and not completely cut, it's fine, because it's going to cool down while we do our popcorn anyway, and we can break it up more if we need to at that point. So I'm just going to add this in. So this is one of my favorite recipes, mostly because I get a lot of really positive feedback on it. I'm making this and dedicating this episode today to my friends Jack and Lucy Peters, who are big fans of this. So much so, actually, that their mom is a very good friend of mine as well, and she had to go to a funeral service. And a lot of people that I love and hadn't seen in a while were going to be there, and one of them had mentioned, hey, you know, you keep promising me Jen's crack, when am I going to get it? So I ended up making a giant batch of it, putting it into plastic bags, sticking all of that into a shopping bag, bringing it to the funeral and leaving it in the car until everybody left, and then one person handed it out to the people, like kind of on the down low. Anyway, I don't know, like a half an hour later, I get a video from them in the car all screaming, "Thanks for the crack!" After a funeral. You know this shit is good. So our bacon's looking good here. It's been rendering down for about 12 minutes, and I'm just going to drain it on some paper towels. We want to reserve some of this bacon grease because it's actually going to go into our oil that we're going to pop our popcorn in. If you are not using bacon, obviously you can skip that step, but this is what I do here for the bacon. So I've preheated my oven to 250 degrees, and now I'm going to start with my popcorn. In my pot, I have heating right now some of the popping corn oil, some of the peanut oil, and some of my bacon grease. Basically, you just want to have enough oil for whatever amount of popcorn you decide to use. I'm using a cup of popcorn here, so it's about 3 tablespoons. Please don't use all bacon grease if you're going to use it at all. You really do need some other kind of oil to facilitate the popping. So I'm going to pour my 1 cup of popping corn into my oil, and I'm going to give it a little shake to make sure all of the kernels are coated in the oil. I'm going to turn my temperature up a tiny bit. I'm going to cover my pan, and I'm just going to wait. Eventually, once it starts popping, I'm going to vigorously shake it until it stops popping. You want to wait until your popcorn is silent for about 5 seconds before you take it off the heat. I wanted to say you could also use Microwave popcorn, if you like. I think microwave popcorn is the devil, and it squeaks when you eat it like a peanut, like a packing peanut. Do you know what I mean? Not good eats. So you could use an air popper, or you could even buy this stuff that they fresh pop in the store. Or you can pop your own on the stovetop the old-fashioned way. If you love microwave popcorn and you don't mind it, have a ball. It's your party. Okay, so our popcorn is clearly popping. So this is the point where I want to shake it up. I shake it over the burner, keeping it over the heat so that the popcorn that's popped goes to the top and the kernels stay on the bottom where the heat is. And until your popcorn's done popping, again, you want it to be quiet for about 5 seconds. And that means you're probably done. But I keep it moving just like this, very easy, the whole time to keep the popcorn from burning. We've transferred our popcorn to our bowl. If you're a psychopath like me, you're gonna wanna look through it and just make sure there are no unpopped kernels in there. You don't want anyone to hurt themselves when they bite down. Also, make sure to transfer your popcorn immediately from the pot to the bowl so it doesn't burn to the bottom of the pan, and be very careful when you hold the pan and don't burn yourself like I totally did. So I hope you can do a better job than I did. Anyway, I'm going to start the caramel now, and then we're gonna put this whole thing together and show you how it goes. Now I'm gonna start the fun part of the recipe, the caramel. Please don't be intimidated by the caramel. I'm not a candy maker, nor do I own a candy thermometer, but I do make candies and things like this. So don't be afraid, try it. That's the whole thing. Why not just try it? You're stuck at home in this pandemic with your pandemic hair, in your pajamas all day. You might as well make some nice stuff for your family and make yourself a more confident cook. So I'm gonna start with a stick of butter that I've sliced up, and I'm gonna put that in a saucepan and melt that over medium heat. Just let that go. And that's gonna take a few minutes. Again, just medium heat. You don't wanna have too much scorch on this. Okay, so I've melted our stick of butter here in a medium saucepan over medium heat. I'm just gonna add to that 2 cups of light brown sugar. And I'm gonna kind of mush that all in and work that together with the butter. And as the heat melts the sugar, it'll start to develop that caramel that you're looking for. So we're just gonna let this melt a little and keep an eye on it because we don't want our sugar to melt to the bottom of our pan. And I'm gonna add a couple of other things. So I'm gonna add now about a tablespoon of vanilla. I use good quality pure vanilla extract, but if you like imitation vanilla, that's absolutely fine as well. I'm gonna add just a good pinch or 2 of kosher or sea salt because I'm looking for that salted caramel effect here. So we're just gonna stir that. Now, I need to add some light corn syrup to this recipe. Again, a lot of Cracker Jack recipes use dark corn syrup because you want that dark popcorn look that you get from a box of Cracker Jacks. But when I was a kid eating Cracker Jacks, all I wanted was the prize inside and the peanuts. The popcorn, This popcorn, you're gonna wanna eat. So, I have to add this very sticky ingredient. So what I'm gonna do first is I'm just gonna spray my measuring cup like that with a little bit of pan spray. And what that is gonna do is it's gonna make it easier for you to get this very sticky liquid out of your measuring cup. I use this tip for honey too. If I wanna put honey in tea or in a recipe, I always spray whatever measuring spoon or measuring cup with the pan spray so it doesn't stick and it comes out really, really easily. I'm just about at the end of my corn syrup here, which is fine. It's a 1/4 cup. That's what I needed. Gone with the wind. But look at this. Look how easily that comes out. Can you see that? Just pouring out. It's perfect. And then you just run your finger along the inside like that, and you get every single drop that way. So now, I'm going to stir that in, and our mixture is getting a little bit more melted. And this takes a minute. right? So you just have to be patient. My favorite thing to do is put my phone, my playlist on shuffle and sing at the top of my lungs while I chop and stir and do whatever it is I'm doing that I'm trying to make. I also like to recruit my family every once in a while. It's the only way I can get them to learn how to make my recipes because they just don't pay attention to me. Our caramel's looking good. It's still got some graininess from the sugar where it hasn't completely melted. The whole process from start to finish should take you about 10 minutes, and you want to keep it moving, but you don't necessarily have to be constantly whisking. You can just kind of whisk it along, make sure it's not burning to the bottom, get the stuff off the sides so that can cook and incorporate. So our caramel has like a slow bubble going on, and you can see that it's still a little bit granular. You want to wait until all of the sugar is melted. That's going to take about 10 minutes. But at this point, I like to add my caramels. I use Werther's soft caramels because I like the way they taste, but you can use any caramel you want, or you can leave it out. Fun fact, don't unwrap all your caramels and put them in a dish when it's humid, because then your caramels stick together and your husband has to break them into pieces for the purposes of the segment. I'm like a ninja, I caught that. All right, so I'm gonna add my Island of Misfit caramels and let those melt in, and then I'm gonna come back and show you how to finish this up. Our caramels are nicely melted in. So it looks like this, and this is the point where we wanna add our bacon and our peanuts, and we have to work really quickly with this because caramel sets up very quickly. So we have to very quickly get this on top of our popcorn. So I'm just gonna pour this all in, just right on top like this, and get every single bit of that caramel because you gotta start really working it. And what I'm gonna do is take a big spatula now, and I'm gonna spray it with my hand spray, just like that. And you can see the caramel is already starting to set up, so you have to work super quickly with this. Ready? Just go from the middle. Be careful you're not sending it flying, but I tend to fold it. And it's already setting up, so it's really tough. Just have to keep that working. Sometimes you even have to get your hands in there, but you gotta be careful because that caramel is still very hot. So we're just gonna mix this up. And when I'm done mixing it, I'm gonna put it in our pan and show you how to finish it up. Okay, so we've got our caramel all incorporated. A couple of things on that. I want you to really toss the bacon and the peanuts in the caramel. I noticed my caramel is starting to set up because it's a little bit cold here today. If you notice that, just try to work quickly. Pour it all on the popcorn, get a spoon first, and really start moving it until you're confident that it's cooled off, because it's like napalm on your hands and it's awful to be burned like that. So be very, very careful, please. So this is all incorporated. If you find pieces when you're mixing your popcorn, you really have to work as quickly as you can, but you can get in there with your hands once it cools off. And if you have spots of a clump of caramel, move it. It's gonna melt when we cook it anyway. So this is our next step. We're gonna take our delicious mixture, which I swear you could eat right now, but it's way better the other way. You just wanna try and get it into the pan without putting it in one entire clump.
If you eat it right now, it's all like chewy.
Yeah.
Which is still delicious, but it's more like a caramel corn Rice Krispie treat instead of Cracker Jacks.
Thank you, handsome husband.
You're very welcome, lovely wife.
You should get one of your own. All right. So you're just gonna push your crack down there. Sorry, there's someone looking in my window right now. And once you get it all into your pan, you want to put it in your oven. Again, that's 250 degrees, really, really low heat for 1 hour, and then we're gonna take it out, let it cool, break it up, and enjoy it. While we're waiting for our crack to cool, now would be a good time if you decide that you want to melt some chocolate to drizzle over top, and then you just leave it out longer so that the chocolate can solidify. You can add craisins, you can do pretzels, you can do any mix-ins you want. I also wanted to mention that all of the recipes for all of the segments will be either attached to the post via link, or you'll find them in the comments. I will post for every recipe the entire ingredients list and the complete directions, so that you don't have to worry about following along in real time. So I think I'm gonna check back now and see where we are with our crack, and then I think we're gonna start putting it together. Our crack has cooled off in its steaming pan. We left it in the steaming pan to cool. Once it's cooled off, you're gonna have to take it in pieces because it's gonna be one solid lump of snack. So you wanna take the pieces and just tear them up. They're very easy to pull apart, and you just make them into bite-sized pieces. What I like to do is store it in a Ziploc jumbo-sized freezer bag. It keeps it fresh, or I portion it out into individual bags if I'm gonna give it away. But this batch is just for us this time. So I hope you try it. I hope you love it, because it really is so personal to me. It's the recipe that is universally loved by everyone who I love, which means the most. So I hope you try it. I hope you love it. I hope if you like these recipes, you like them, watch them, and share them. And just, let your fat kid out to play once in a while. Thanks. See you next time.